A serious security flaw has been identified in Fortra's GoAnywhere managed file transfer software, and it carries a maximum severity rating. This vulnerability could allow attackers to execute commands remotely, putting sensitive data at risk. On September 19, 2025, Fortra announced that the flaw, designated CV 2025-10035, involves a deserialization issue in the license servlet. If exploited, it could enable malicious actors to inject commands, especially if the system is accessible from the internet. Next, we'll explore the implications of this vulnerability, the recommended actions for users, and the context of similar past incidents. If you found this update helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to InfoSec Now for the latest cybersecurity news. Your support really helps us continue building useful content for cybersecurity professionals. On September 19, 2025, Fortra released a critical patch for the GoAnywhere managed file transfer software, specifically addressing the vulnerability tracked as CV 2025-10035. This patch is crucial as the flaw has a CVSS score of 10.0, underscoring its potential for severe exploitation. The vulnerability arises from a deserialization issue within the license servlet, which can be manipulated by an attacker with a forged license response signature. Fortra emphasized that the risk of exploitation is heightened in environments where the system is publicly accessible over the internet. Consequently, organizations utilizing GoAnywhere MFT are urged to upgrade to the patched versions 7.8.4 or the sustained release 7.6.3. For those unable to patch immediately, restricting access to the GoAnywhere Admin Console from public networks is recommended as a temporary mitigation strategy. Despite the critical nature of this vulnerability, Fortra has not reported any confirmed instances of it being exploited in the wild. However, there is a growing concern given the history of previous vulnerabilities in GoAnywhere MFT. For example, CV 2023-0669, which had a CVSS score of 7.2, was exploited as a zero-day by ransomware actors, raising alarms about the software's security posture. Experts in the field, such as Ryan Deworst from WatchTor, have pointed out that the newly disclosed vulnerability shares a similar code path to the earlier CV 2023-0669, which was heavily targeted by ransomware and advanced persistent threat groups, including LockBit. Given the number of GoAnywhere MFT instances exposed to the internet, the potential for this vulnerability to be weaponized for exploitation is significant, prompting immediate action from organizations to ensure their systems are secured. The recent disclosure of the CV 2025-10035 vulnerability in Fortra's GoAnywhere MFT software poses significant risks to organizations and their users. Given the severity of this flaw, which has a CVSS score of 10.0, companies must act swiftly to mitigate potential threats. The vulnerability's nature, allowing for remote command execution, means that attackers could potentially gain unauthorized access to sensitive information and systems. Organizations that rely on GoAnywhere MFT for secure file transfers are particularly vulnerable due to the software's design, which often exposes the admin console to the internet. This accessibility increases the likelihood of exploitation, especially when combined with the history of previous vulnerabilities in the same product. The earlier CV 2023-0669 was actively exploited by ransomware groups, highlighting the urgent need for vigilance in patch management and system security. As Fortra recommends immediate updates to versions 7.8.4 or 7.6.3, organizations should prioritize these patches to prevent any exploitation. For those unable to implement the updates right away, restricting access to the admin console is a critical interim measure. Organizations must also conduct a thorough assessment of their network exposure and consider additional security layers, such as firewalls and intrusion detection systems, to bolster defenses against potential attacks. The implications extend beyond immediate security concerns. Organizations may face reputational damage if sensitive data is compromised. Furthermore, the financial repercussions of a data breach can be substantial, including regulatory fines and remediation costs. As such, proactive measures are essential not only to safeguard data but also to maintain customer trust and compliance with data protection regulations. In summary, the potential impact of this vulnerability underscores the importance of cybersecurity diligence within organizations. Companies must not only address the current threat but also foster a culture of continuous monitoring and improvement in their security practices. In light of the critical vulnerability identified in Fortra's GoAnywhere managed file transfer software, organizations must take immediate and strategic steps to mitigate risks and enhance security. First and foremost, updating to the latest patched version, specifically version 7.8.4 or the sustained release 7.6.3, is essential for any organization currently using the software. This update addresses the deserialization vulnerability that could allow for remote command execution. In addition to patching, organizations should evaluate their network architecture. Given that the vulnerability requires public accessibility for exploitation, it's crucial to restrict access to the GoAnywhere Admin Console. Implementing stricter firewall rules and using VPNs can significantly reduce the attack surface. Organizations should also conduct a thorough audit of their systems to identify any instances of GoAnywhere MFT that may be exposed to the Internet. Training staff on security best practices is another vital step. Employees should be educated about the risks associated with vulnerabilities and the importance of promptly applying patches. Regular security awareness training can help mitigate human error, which is often a vector for exploitation. Furthermore, organizations should consider enhancing their incident response plans. This includes preparing for potential breaches by establishing clear protocols for communication, containment, and recovery. Given the history of exploitation of similar vulnerabilities, having a robust incident response strategy will enable swift action should an attack occur. Finally, organizations are encouraged to stay informed about ongoing threat intelligence. Monitoring updates from Fortra and cybersecurity agencies can provide critical insights into emerging threats and vulnerabilities. Engaging with threat intelligence platforms can also help organizations anticipate potential risks and adapt their security posture accordingly. By proactively addressing these areas, organizations can significantly strengthen their defenses against potential exploitation of the GoAnywhere MFT vulnerability and safeguard their sensitive data. If you found this update helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to InfoSec Now for the latest cybersecurity news. Your support really helps us continue building useful content for cybersecurity professionals.